Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. As always, let's give it, I would say, 1 or 2 minutes for more people to join, and then we can get started on today's topic. I hope wherever you are, it is much better weather than it is here in London because it is very grey, rainy, and it's not nice. We'll just give it I would say let's give it 1 more minute for more people to join and then we can get started on today's webinar. Also, just to tell you as always, if you do see my head fluttering from two places, it's because I do have two screens. So I do apologize if that is a little bit distracting, but we do need two screens for this webinar to work. So if you do wonder what I'm looking at, it's just another monitor. I am going to get started today because I think more people will join as we go along. So, yes, welcome everyone to today's webinar on effortless data migration. I'm really excited to talk you through everything you need to know about data migration. That goes from preparing your import data to uploading your artwork records. So, I'll really be guiding you through a step-by-step process so you can actually start using your Artlogic management system with absolute confidence. So if you've joined our webinars before, it's great to have you back. And if this is your first time, my name's Suvin. I'm the customer engagement specialist here at Artlogic. And I'm also joined by my lovely colleague, Stefania, who is our customer engagement team lead. You might have seen her in our previous webinars. She'll be keeping an eye on the Q&A box below, and she'll be answering your questions throughout the webinar, but also sharing some useful links in the chat as we go along. So as always, I'm just going to go over some quick housekeeping rules. So the webinar will run for approximately 30 minutes. You can ask questions at any time using the Q&A box below, and Stefania will answer where possible. But also, please don't worry if we do not get to your question before the end of the webinar. We'll reach out to you right after and make sure we provide you with a detailed answer. And also, please don't worry if you are unable to stay till the end. Obviously, life happens. We'll share the recording alongside any helpful links right after as well in a dedicated email. So these are the topics we'll be looking at today. So firstly, why should you use the import tool? Then I'll go over how to access the import tool. And then I guess, the big chunk of the webinar will be preparing that data, then how you can upload that import. And then lastly, as always, we love to end with some tips and best practices. So why should you use the import tool? Well, the import tool really allows you to upload your artworks and contacts in bulk, which means you're saving a significant amount of time. So when you're using our provided Artlogic template, you can map all the corresponding fields in your artwork and contact records as well. So the tool is really ideal for onboarding new data when you're first using Artlogic, and it's also an efficient way to migrate your artworks and contacts as well. So that makes me move swiftly on to how to access the tool. So I'm just going to exit this now, and then we're going to move on to the management system. I'm sure you can see that now. So for the sake of today's webinar, we'll solely be focusing on artworks. However, this is the exact same process for contacts as well. And now we can go over how to access the tool. So to access the tool, you want to navigate to Artworks, then Tools, then Import. Then you'll see a little pop-up come up on your screen. So there are two options here where you can click Upload Document. That's where you can directly upload your spreadsheet with all your import data. and then you can also click help. So by clicking help, this is, I guess, your little guide in terms of knowing more and gathering information more about how to use the import tool, which again is so useful if this is your first time importing into Artlogic. So please do utilize that as you go along too. Also, to download the template, I'm just going to change tabs here. To download the template, you can do so in the Artworks import tool help note. The template that we do provide will display helpful tips to guide you on what kind of information is required, but I will show you what that means in the next bit when I'm showing you how to prepare that data as well. I also want to say you can use your own template as well. However, you must ensure that the column headings directly match the fields shown in your artwork records in the system. So if the column headings do not match, that data will not successfully import. So please be aware of that if you are going to choose your own template. So now I'm going to come off this and then we can spend some time actually showing you how to prepare the data. So now you should be able to see a spreadsheet. So for today's webinar as well, I have pre-populated a spreadsheet for you so that we can look over a few fields here. Now, before we start in terms of how to prepare the import, it's really important to note that there are certain supported file types such as XLS, CSV, but there are others as well. So please do have a read of the help note so you can see what other file types are supported and what's compatible in terms of importing your data, which again, Stefania will have linked that. So that's really important to read over. So as I've said, I have pre-populated a few artwork records here, and today we'll solely focus on just a few columns, those that require some special formatting, just so that you feel a bit more confident in terms of preparing your own spreadsheet. And if I do just go along, you can see that there is just so much, extensive amount of data here. So if I were to go through all of that, it would be more than half an hour. So I'm just going to focus on a few columns here that I think will help you be more confident when you are doing your own spreadsheet as well. And then, as I said previously, I talked about the helpful guides within our own Artlogic template. So as you can see here, we have these purple, I guess, corners of the cells. If you hover over them, we provide you with a little bit more information and guidance, whether that be giving you a tip on how to format certain data, or perhaps telling you what kind of information is required. And that's, again, another reason why you should utilize our Artlogic template, because it just gives you that little bit more guidance that you might need, especially if you are new to this process. So we can begin now. We're just going to solely focus on, let's say, this row here, just so that you can get a hang of what kind of data is required, and you can just see what kind of different formatting is required in certain columns as well. So here you have the artist column, pretty simple. This is what requires free text. So you write in your artist name. Here I've added in Sasha Porter, and then also the artist dates. Now, by hovering over this as well, it's telling me how to format those dates. So I have formatted it in the exact way that it needs to be presented so that it translates into the system. And then if you do have a stock number and you have a system for that, I do encourage you to add that into that column as well. Then we have more free text columns such as the title of the artwork, the year, and whether it's signed and dated. Pretty self-explanatory as we go along. Now, I want to bring your attention to period, genre, and series. The reason why I want to bring your attention to these three, because you might be looking at this and thinking those are free text cells as well. They are. However, these fields are by default hidden in core preferences. So you do need to make sure that by going into core preferences, you are enabling these fields so that these do show up in your management system. So if, let's say, you did populate these columns with data and you aren't seeing in the system, that's probably why. So please make sure that you are going into your core preferences and configuring those fields correctly as well. Now, as we move along, I've added my medium and also I've added my dimensions, which should be in this particular format here. With retail price, it just needs a numerical value. It doesn't need a currency because we already have a column here for currency as well, whether that be pounds, euros, dollars, whatever that might be as well. Now, for this webinar, I really wanted to show an example of, edition data records and whether an artwork is a print or edition so that you're well equipped if, you are adding edition data records to the system. So these two fields are what you call bool fields. So they require a yes or no, or let's say true or false response. Again, by hovering over this, cell, it tells you what you can add. So it's either yes or no, a Y or N, or a 1 or 2, or true or false. So that's what a bool field is, and that's what it's required in these two columns. So for this particular artwork, I said yes to both. Yes, it's a print or edition, and yes, it's an edition data record. Now, after you've imported your edition data records, you can then go into the system and then create the edition records individually, just because the import tool can't create edition records individually itself. But again, after this, I will show you how that translates into the system, and then I'll show you where you can create those edition records for that edition data record itself. Another thing to note here is that it is always good practice to add an edition data record. However, there might be instances where, let's say, the print or edition itself doesn't belong to the gallery or client. So in that case, they might just want to keep a record that they have an artwork that is a print or edition, but they'll never need to add more editions from the whole set to the management system. So this might apply to instances such as sculptures. So please do take note of that. And just be aware of that in future cases. As we move along, I've added an importance rating. Your importance rating should be a numerical value between 0 to 5. And then I've decided for today's webinar to add a courtesy, credit line, copyright line, and photo credit. Again, this is free text, but I will show you what that will look like afterwards in the system. Another column I wanted to bring your attention to is the commentary and description column. Now, you can freely add in your text for your commentary or your description. However, if let's say you require rich text in these fields, this is where we recommend that you reach out to us, because we need to make sure that it's compatible with your system, because there might be instances where the rich text might corrupt the text. So for this column only, please do reach out to us if you require rich text formatting. Now, this makes me move on to exhibitions. So exhibitions is where you can use rich text as freely as you'd like. Now, if you aren't familiar with rich text, by looking at this, it looks quite overwhelming. However, again, I'll show you what this looks like visually when it is translated into the system. And of course, again, you can refer to our help note. But with rich text, just to put it simply, let's say if you wanted something in bold, you use the HTML tag of B, and then the BR stands for a new line, a break, and then I for italics. Yes, it does look a little bit overwhelming, but I assure you, the more you do it, it really does. You will get the hang of it, and it's not that hard to do once you do keep doing it a few more goes. I've also wanted to add my status and availability as well, so I've chosen to do on consignment and available. And then for your retail tax rate, which obviously does require a percentage, you don't need to put the percentage symbol here, just please add the numerical value. We also have retail currency and price. Again, that's self-explanatory. Put the currency and then a numerical value for the price. So for your retail price history, if there are occasions where you need to add that, there is special formatting for this as well. So here where you have to put the date, the currency, the price, then the tax status, and then any notes and who it was updated by. And all of this information needs to be separated by colon. And I'll show you how that looks like in your artwork records as well. So again, please do hover over all of these columns for more guidance, as it will tell you what kind of formatting is required. As we go along, as you can see, there is a lot of data here. Another thing I did want to mention as well, please do pay attention to the metrics that are being used too, because sometimes the metrics can be different to what you're thinking. So please be aware of what metrics are being used, and then you are putting in the correct numerical value for that as well. And then lastly, just the last two columns, I've just added my name in terms of who it's created by, and then we have the images column as well. Now, I would say the images column is one of the crucial parts of the import, just because firstly, images must be saved in two formats, either PNG or JPEG. And also the image uploaded must match the file name that it's saved as on your laptop, desktop, or wherever. And also images are capped at 15 megabytes. So please do make sure that you are reading all of that criteria and making sure that the file types are correct as well. I also just want to say, if let's say there might be instances where you want to add multiple file names here, multiple images, you do that by separating it first with a semicolon. So a semicolon, and then you write a name. I've just made this up, but then you write a name here. So that's what separates the file names. Do not use a comma. It requires a semicolon. So as you can see, there is a lot to go through in terms of the spreadsheet, but I hope, just looking at the columns here, it's not as overwhelming, but it's very obvious that special, consistent formatting is key here. So you please do aware of that. And then also I do recommend that you're saving this as you go along and keeping a store of all your imports, because if let's say something does go wrong, the last thing you want is to be starting from scratch. So please make sure you're backing this up as you go along. So I'm just going to save this now and make sure that it's saved to my system. So that is preparing the data. And now I'll move on to actually importing it into the system. So now I'm just going to exit this, and then I'm going to go back into the management system here, which you should be able to see. So to upload your document, you want to navigate to Artworks again, then Tools, and then Import. To upload the document, click Upload Document, and then I'm going to select My File, and then you want to click Continue. Now, as you can see, the system will flag to you any areas that need to be amended. So as you can see here, the first flags is telling me that there are duplicate columns. So if I just look here, I've got retail price here, and then I've also got retail price here. So I just need to exclude one of them. So click the pencil edit icon, and then click exclude column. And as you can see, that warning has now disappeared. I've also got another one where it's saying that a column heading is left empty. So I now need to move, but this is not letting me move. So I'm going to just refresh the page, because this is the difficulty with doing webinars live. Sometimes there are technological issues. So I'm just going to remove this again. And then now you can see this is the empty column heading. So any empty column headings, they won't be imported. Please make sure all your column headings are populated. So I'm going to click the pencil edit icon again, and then just choose the correct one for this one. And now you can see that warning has disappeared. Now, you don't have to add in an import name. However, I personally think adding in an import name is useful, just because it helps you recognize that particular import later on when you're looking at, a store of your logs. So I would say add in an import name. I'm going to put Canvas Gallery import. And now you can see there are no warnings, there are no errors that I need to resolve. So that means I can add in my images. To do that, click Upload Images. And then I am going to select that file and then select all the images that I need for this. And then I will wait for this to upload. Now, once it's uploaded, the system will tell you that they have been successfully uploaded. So that means I can click Import Data. Now, the system will flag to you if there are any duplicates. So you will come up, there will be a pop-up screen. So personally for me, I know why there are duplicates, because I populated this data beforehand. However, I did delete them, but it does take the system a while to compute that. So that's why it's telling me that I've got duplicates. However, there might be instances where you do have actual duplicates. So click view duplicates there, and then it will show you what duplicates there are. And if you do have actual duplicates in the system, that's where you would want to click skip duplicates there. But for this webinar, I want them all uploaded, so I will click import all. Now, import has been complete and that's been successful. So that means I can click view all. So now you can see these are my 5 records that I have imported successfully as well. And this means that from here, this means that I can easily start editing any areas that I do need to if there is the case. So I just want to focus on this edition data record because I did say previously I want to show you how some of that data does translate once it's been imported. So if we open up this artwork record here, I'll just show you a few areas. So as you can see, we've got the artist name, we've got the stock number, we've got the title, and then as we scroll down, this is the area where you want to add in those edition records individually here and add in any edition details. When we go to general, you can see I've got that description and commentary. Financial as well, my status and availability is completely correct alongside my retail price. And then as you can see, this is how the retail price history shows once you have formatted it in the correct way. Then lastly, if I quickly go to provenance and exhibitions, this is what exhibitions will look like with the rich text. So trust me, it's not as overwhelming as it seems. And once you do quite a few, you will get a hang of it. And so this is what it will look like once you start using the rich text formatting. Now, there might be instances where, let's say, you want to see an import of all your logs. You can do that by going to Other, Admin, Logs, and then, Other, Admin, Logs, and then Import. Other Admin, Logs, and then Import Logs. And here you can see there's a whole record of all the imports that I've done. Now, there will always be cases where you have a lot of imports. So that's why I always say name your import name just so that it's easier for you to recognize. And then you can see other information here, such as the date, the file name, and who it was uploaded by, and how many contacts or artworks have been imported. When you click view here and click imported records, it will then show you all of those imports for that particular log as well. And this is a great way where you can start using the flagging functionality, because once you use the flagging functionality here, and let's say I do find flagged, and there are areas that I might need to change or amend, I can use the update, delete multiple functionality. And if I wanted to, I can update certain fields within those records. Now, there might be cases where you just want to delete those records. Then you can use the delete multiple functionality. So that's why it's also very important to keep a backup, because if, let's say, something did go wrong and you had to delete records and re-upload, then you've got that backup with you on your laptop or desktop as well. So that is, everything you need to know in terms of migrating your data into the management system. I hope that it doesn't seem so, overwhelming to you now that we've gone through a few columns in the spreadsheet. But once you do get a hang of it, it does get easier with time. And as always, I will now go on to tips and best practices as well. So I'm just going to switch to the presentation and go over some tips and best practices. So firstly, you can use our dedicated Artlogic template, because as you saw throughout the webinar, we do provide those useful tips in that template, especially if you are new to this kind of process. It really does help when you're having that extra guidance as you go along. Also, as you saw, consistent formatting is key. Some cells do require some special formatting, so please do check that as you go along. And like I said, you've got the help note to help you. We also encourage you to test a small sample first. I can't imagine how frustrating it would be if you are trying to upload a bulk number of artwork or contacts and something goes wrong. So please do test a small sample just to see that you can get a hang of it and just to see what it's like. And then I would say upload the rest. And also, as you saw, the system will bring up any errors, so please do amend them as well because you don't want wrong information in your system too. And then lastly, please do use the Artworks import tool help note as your little kind of guidance book so that you can refer to it in terms of understanding what file types are supported, what special formatting is supported, but also just to understand the process in general as well. And as I said before, Stefania will have linked that in the Q&A box below. I also just want to add here, there might be times where, you might want to migrate from migrate a large data set from other databases. We have a whole team to help with that. So Stefania will have linked something below where you can book a call. We have a team to help you. So if that is something you're interested in, we have different services to help you with that as well. Okay, so this concludes today's webinar. As always, I like to end on a few final notes. So if you do need further assistance, please refer to our Artlogic Help Center. We have a wealth of resources there. We also encourage you to explore the areas we've demonstrated today, try your own import, but also if you do need more training, just contact our support team. We can provide you with more personalized sessions or visit our help note that Stefania has linked, and you can explore what training options are available to you. As always, if you have enjoyed this webinar, please make sure you sign up to our future ones. We will have one on best practices for sales teams. So if that is of interest to you and perhaps you are in a sales team, that's one you should be signing up for because it will be very, very helpful. And alternatively, you can check the full schedule in the link that Stefania will have put below as well. And you can also watch our previous webinars too. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope to see you in the next webinar, and have a great day, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.